Please let me know if you are able to see my screen.
Yep.
Yes, Sushant, we can see it.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today's session. And so today we have David Giller, also known as a Salesforce Geek, uh, with us, and he will going to share their insights on how we can improve the lightning screen so for the better productivity. And so, hi, David.
Hey everyone. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks, David. Thanks for joining. Yeah, so a little bit about David, and so David is also known as Salesforce Geek, and he's a founder of Brainiate. And also, David is a uh, speaker. He speaks in the keynote of a Dreamforce 2019. And apart from this, David is also a Salesforce consultant and as well as a trainer. So I think David is very much active on both LinkedIn as well as Twitter as well. So
Yep.
you can see there are lots of training programs David run for, especially for the admin side, if I'm not wrong, right, David?
Yep.
Yeah. So do check out the David's training stuffs, and that would be really beneficial for those who are starting or who are planning to build their career in Salesforce, as well as those who really want to be a Salesforce admin or really want to go for a consultant side. So these are some really useful resources you can check out. All right, let's move further. So I'm your today's host. My name is Sushant, and I am a ATEC certified. Currently working in NCR Corporation as a senior software engineer, and I joined New Delhi Salesforce Developer Group 2 years back, and now I'm leading this group along with my colleagues Atul and Sagar, and also we have an awesome team of volunteers. So I'm also a creator and a founder of Talent Central. It's one of the initiative we are currently running in Trailblazer community. I will explain further in my slides. And I'm also a lightning champion, joined to Salesforce mentor, and I am in a Salesforce domain since more than 3 years. These are our a few initiatives we as a part of New Delhi running in the our Trailblazer community. So who we are? So we are a New Delhi Salesforce Developer Group. We comes in existence in the beginning of 2016, especially in on February. These are some of our social media links or where you can follow us. You can follow us on Twitter. We have our official hashtag New Delhi SFDCDUG, and as well as we have another hashtag for our initiative Impact Salesforce Saturday, and we also on a Trailblazer community groups. So this is a URL, and along with we are managing our Trailblazer community group. We also have our official website. Check out this link where you will get to know about our past sessions as well as our upcoming sessions, which is already scheduled on our website. So go over there and RSVP if you have not done till now. So Impact Salesforce Saturday. So this is one of the major initiative, or this is one of the initiative where our entire team will focus. So with this is particularly a series of online sessions in which we will come up with a new speaker who will share their knowledge with us every Saturday of each week, and we are doing this from many years. And so previously it's known as virtual Salesforce Saturdays, then we rebranded it as a Impact Salesforce Saturday 2 years back. And these are our links where you can check out our previous sessions as well as the future sessions. Talent Central. So this is one of the newest initiative we brought to in our Trailblazer community. So it's something like Naukri.com or a Indeed.com or a Monster.com, where if you are looking for a job as a fresher in Salesforce community, then you can register over there. And we also have more than 15 HRs who are already registered, and hirings are still going on. Meanwhile, we have two success stories from this initiative where two Salesforce freshers got placed in one of the partner companies of Salesforce here in India. And so this is our URL for Talent Central portal. You can register if you are a if you are a part of HR team of any company, then you can register over there as a HR. Or if you are if you are a fresher and you're looking to get their first job in Salesforce ecosystem, so you can also register as a student over there and update your profile, add all the required things what we are asking. Uh, so that your resume got shortlisted very soon, and one of the HR will contact you for the further processes. Mentorship Central. So this is one of the oldest initiative we have. Uh, we have around 800 plus mentor and mentee matches already, and it's running global on a global level. And again, it's a making site where if you are expert in Salesforce domain, so you can register there as a mentor. And at the same time, if you are want any trainer, or if you are looking for a mentor, or a guide, or who will guide you through your learning process or learning journey, then definitely you can register over there as a mentee. And after a successful match with any of the mentor will take care of yours, and he or she will guide you through your learning journey, how you what are the things you have to do, what are the things you have to learn. So all will be take care by the mentors. Okay, so journey to Salesforce. So this is not an official New Delhi initiative. This is a initiative which is exclusively running by our Salesforce development team here in India. So this is a URL for their Telegram group. If you are not registered till now, or if you're not subscribed the Telegram group, then definitely get subscribed. So journey to Salesforce is basically uh, program where they have built six they have built a module of six trail mixes. This is this particular initiative is not for students. It's for people who are from that, who have experience as a professional, and but they are from different domains, not from the Salesforce domain. Okay, and they don't have any certifications for certification till yet. So if you are fulfilling these criteria, then you are eligible for this program. Go get registered and complete all the trail mixes our team what the Salesforce development team is asking for. And then when you got you completed all these trail mixes on a time, then in the meanwhile you will also get lots of swag from them for completing each trail mixes. And again, at last, if you are uh, and again they also have a lottery system where from there, if you are so lucky, then you will get a $200 certification voucher for your admin, or as well as your PD1 certification. And again, our dev relation team also running employer connect program, which is a part of this journey to Salesforce initiative, where those people who already completed their journey to Salesforce journey, they will get contacted by the dev relation team, in order to schedule their interviews with our Salesforce partner companies. So this is really useful for the peoples who are new to the Salesforce ecosystem, have experience, and want to build their career in Salesforce. Really quick, these are our channels where we are active. I already told you the first one is our official website, where we have our dedicated mentorship central website link. We also are active on YouTube. Every week we upload new session videos on YouTube and Twitter also. All the if follow us on a Twitter, so that you will get instant notifications of our sessions as well as our initiatives. Same for the LinkedIn and Telegram group. Telegram, I would recommend everyone to join Telegram group if you want to get instant notifications for our upcoming sessions. So this is the first place where we post our first notifications. So do connect with us. And at last, this is again one of the important slides. So I would like to thank our volunteers. These are our new volunteers, as well as so I would like to thank all of them. They did a great job within this week in order to promote our sessions. As because of them, our Impact Salesforce Saturday is working so awesomely from 2 years. So I would like to thank Aman. I would like to thank Nikita. I would like to thank Mega, Shalini, and Sneha, Praveen, Lalita, Vamsi, Anil, Anuj. And again, we also have already a dedicated team of volunteers, Vishal, Sachin, Yogesh, Neha. So kudos to all of them for supporting us. And without them, uh, it's become very difficult for us to have 2 or 3 sessions within a same week. So kudos to everyone, guys, and keep promoting and keep supporting us. Last but not the least, I would like to thank our sponsors, Cloud Vandana and Greyopus. Thank you so much for all your support, and we are really thankful for to you to support on each and every step. Without you, it's very difficult to manage all these things. So thank you all. All right, so done from my side, and David, over to you.
I muted myself, and just finding that unmute button is sometimes a struggle. You guys can hear me now, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you again for having me. So, it's funny. This topic of designing the screens in Salesforce in a way that's simple and easy to use is something that a lot of people struggle with. And part of the reason why is, first of all, whether you're brand new to Salesforce or you're super experienced in Salesforce, but in Classic and relatively new to Lightning, or you've created either a developer org or gotten access to a brand new production org of Salesforce, the native out of the box configuration that Salesforce has by itself is very confusing. It's not simple at all. And this is something that, for me personally, my perception of this is that it's really frustrating and it's really annoying that out of the box, the configuration that Salesforce provides for the screens are really frustrating for end users. It's a little overwhelming for all of us, whether we're admins or developers. It's a little bit overwhelming for us alone to get an understanding of all of these different features, and like even where to find features that maybe features we're already familiar with if we're familiar with using Classic. So it's a little bit overwhelming for us, but it's in a way even more overwhelming for the users because from their perspective, their goal is not to learn a technology platform. Their goal is to close more deals. Their goal is to, work on the marketing campaigns that they're working on or close the customer support tickets that all happen to be in Salesforce. So um, I've sort of accidentally uncovered this major area of pain that I turned into this presentation, and a lot of people seem to really love it. So I'm super excited to hear any feedback and thoughts that you might have on it as we go ahead and jump through. So what we're talking about now is 18 ways to get your users to fall in love with Lightning Experience. So as Sushant mentioned earlier, who I am, I don't need to repeat this now, so I'm just going to skip over this one. If you're not already connected to me on social media, you can feel free to connect. No, I am not collecting followers or friends or anything. I happen to be a Salesforce addict, a Salesforce geek. I happen to be a little addicted to social media. So regardless of which social media platform you prefer. You can feel free to connect with me. I'm not insulted if you don't connect with me whatsoever. A lot of people find the things that I post either helpful, insightful, educational, or entertaining. Because sometimes I post the things that I'm frustrated about regarding Salesforce also, or an experience on working on a Salesforce project. Anyway, so enough about that. So let's talk a little bit about how other admins have reacted to this presentation. Let's think for a minute. For us as admins, the first time we uncovered all of the new features in Lightning Experience, as technology people, most of us responded with, okay, maybe we were a little bit overwhelmed of like where to find certain things, even how to navigate around the setup screens in Salesforce. But for the most part, we were all pretty excited. These are like cool new toys that we have access to. But think for a minute about the first time the end users logged in to Lightning Experience and what that was like. And more often than not, it was really frustrating. More often than not, they were overwhelmed, they were confused, they were lost, and they were frustrated. More often than not, they logged into Lightning Experience and they asked, how do I switch back to Classic? That's usually what happens. So, okay, we get that. Now let's think about why we should even care about the screens, about the user experience. Like on the one hand, if the platform, if the tool does what it's supposed to, why should we even care what the screens look like? Well, think for a minute. What type of closet would you rather have? Would you rather go to a closet that looks something like this one, where if you're looking for your brown shoes, well, they might be up there, they might be down there. You're looking for the blue pants. Let's see, where did I put it last time? Did I put it on a hanger? Did I just throw it on the shelf? So would you rather be working in a closet that looks like this? Or would you rather go to a closet that looks something like this, that you know, if I have my blue pants, if they're not in the laundry, the blue pants should be right here. The white shirt should be right over there. Now, think for a minute about what the impact is, what the difference is like if we now compare this to working in a Salesforce environment. And if your Salesforce screens look something like what's on the left-hand side, the messy side, well, usually there's quite a bit of confusion and chaos. Usually the people using the screens are frustrated and they're angry, and they often resent the tool or the people responsible for managing the tool. And by the way, there is a lot of wasted time and a lot of inefficiencies just spending time looking for the thing that you need to find. Versus if your Salesforce screens are organized and they're simplistic and they look something like the screens on the right-hand side, you have clarity and you have simplicity. You know exactly where things are supposed to be on any screen. It doesn't matter if you're on a contact screen, an opportunity screen, on a case screen, or on a screen for a custom object. You know exactly where you can find the details or the related records or the chatter feed or the activity timeline. You know exactly where things are supposed to be. Everything is in order. And as a result, the team that's using it, they're happier, they're a little bit more positive, they're able to maximize the time that they're spending in the system, and they're working a lot more efficiently when they're in the system. Okay, so now the question is, how do we translate that to Salesforce? How do we actually implement this in Salesforce using Lightning Experience? So this is what I'm going to show you. It's all about 3 simple principles. It's about designing screens that are simplistic. It's about being consistent. And it's about making sure that everything is easy to use. So let's jump in. So you can see on the top, we're focusing on simplicity, consistency, and ease of use. So the first tip is use the navigation tabs to show only what's relevant to your users. I can't tell you how many times I'm working with someone and I was not involved in setting up their Salesforce, and they're showing me their screens, and they have a gazillion tabs going across the top. And when I start asking them what some of those tabs represent, very often they say, I have no idea, I've never clicked on it. So it's great that as admins, we can throw everything up on the navigation tabs, but to the end user, that's really frustrating. Make it simple. Take away all of those things that they really don't need. Take away all of those objects that perhaps they should still have access to see, but the way they usually use those objects, they usually use them and think of them as child objects to something else. So like, let's say, for example, native out of the box Salesforce, the quotes object, they think of it, the users think of it as they should, as a child object of opportunities. It does not need to have its own separate dedicated tab. When they look at the opportunities, they will see the related quotes. And by the way, if they actually want to access the quotes tab, they're insistent that that's how they work their day, they can go ahead and use the app launcher in order to find the quotes tab, and they can even customize their own navigation in order to make that one of the default options available to them. So something that's in a way super obvious and super, super simple um, can be done immediately and has a huge return for end users. Next up, set component visibility to hide irrelevant components. So this is another area where, in case you're not aware, on every single Lightning component, at least I believe it's every single, most if not all Lightning components, whether they are native or custom, you can set the component visibility in order to determine based on what criteria should this component be visible on the page layout. Now, why is this so powerful? First of all, it goes back to having simplistic screens. But secondly, it's really powerful because very often a senior leader within the organization will turn to us and say, I want my own custom homepage. Or I want that when I look at the contact page layout, I should see the following. I don't care about everyone else on my team. I'm special. I'm important. I need to see this thing on the page. Make me my own custom page. So what do most of us do? Most of us go ahead and create their own dedicated page layout. Very often, we will even name the page layout based on the person who requested it. We will assign that page layout to that individual and keep repeating that for all 15 employees who are users of of the system, or 50 or 500 or 5,000, and very quickly you have a huge mess. Alternatively, what you can do is make them think that they're getting their own custom page, but they're not. If a CEO says, when I go to the homepage, I don't want to see all of these list views that are appearing here. I don't want to see these rich text components. I just want to see the following report charts on my homepage. Well, we could use this feature right here, the set component visibility, to hide all of those components that the CEO does not care to see, just for him, because we could specify based on the criteria to not display it for anyone that, let's say, has that email, any user that has that email address, or certain words in their department or job title, or any attribute, almost any attribute of the user, or based on the role or profile that was assigned to them, and then take other components and make those visible just to those users. So it makes it incredibly easy to do and much easier to maintain versus having 5 or 10 or 50 or 500 custom page layouts based on each person on the team. Next, use the compact layout to display the most important fields. Most admins ignore the compact layout. Like whatever's there by default, we just don't bother customizing it. This is a fantastic opportunity for us to basically think of the users, put ourselves in the shoes of the users, and think about which attributes of this record do we think are most important for the user to see on the top of the screen. Now keep in mind, do not ask the user which fields they want on the top of the screen, because I guarantee they will say that they want to see all of them because all of them are important. I guarantee they will not be able to trim down that list to 5 or 6 fields. They will have way more, and it will cause a tremendous amount of frustration and confusion. So instead, my recommendation is you go ahead and take a stab at it and wait for them to give feedback saying, when I'm looking at the account screen, I don't really need to see industry up there. Can I switch industry for something else? And then the answer is, yeah, of course we could do that. That's not a problem. So think about utilizing the compact layouts and the fields that are in the compact layout in order to help provide the most important information, instead of it being just a waste of space of having some whatever the default fields happen to be thrown in there by Salesforce. Instead, put in those fields that the team is most likely going to use, that the fields that they care about. Next up. Now, by the way, when I first, I'm going to tell you a little story here on this one. When I first started playing around with Lightning Experience, as an admin, I was really excited. I was going a little crazy. And when I discovered that you can create your own custom tabs on any record page, and you can separate different related objects, different related lists into their own tab, because you have the related list single component as well as related lists plural. I went to town on this, and I did the exact opposite of what my recommendation is here, which is why I learned my lesson. And now my recommendation is the exact opposite of what I started to do. So what I did was, let's say we're here on the contact screen, and I created, I had the first tab, which was details. And instead of having a tab of related, I put a separate tab for opportunities. And then I decided it's going to be even more fun and cute and more insightful if I add some graphics to it. So in the label for opportunities, I would throw in an emoji that represented money. And next to that, I put another tab called cases. And I put another emoji to represent the customer support tickets or whatever kind of data was represented in cases. And then I put another tab and I called it campaigns. And then I put another tab. So I kept doing this over and over and over again. And what happened when end users navigated to the screen and they saw all these different tabs? Their heads exploded. It was overwhelming. It was confusing. They felt that they had no idea where they're supposed to click, what they're supposed to do. So I learned my lesson. The lesson is, don't do what I did before. Instead, simply go ahead and have the fewest tabs possible. I'll dive into this a little bit more in terms of the details unrelated, but have the fewest tabs possible going across. But you can see I have over here highlighted both on the left-hand side of the screen as well as the right-hand side of the screen. By the way, if anyone has any questions, you can feel free to stop me at any point along the way. I'd be happy to answer any questions midstream. Hang on one second. Let me just do something real quick to change, which I think it will make it a little bit easier for you. Hang on one second. No, that's not what I meant to do. Hang on. Let me do this one more time. I think it's this one. Yeah. It might have been, I just realized it might have been a little bit blurry for you. This might be a little bit better. Okay, next up. So we finished with simplicity. We're moving over to consistency now. This is so important. This is so important because out of the box, you start a brand new org, even if it's a new developer org, and you go to one object, you go to, let's say, the account screen, and you have one type of layout going on where, let's say, details appears on the left and activity timeline appears on the right. And then you go to the contacts page and the details are the second tab, or the details are all the way on the right and activity is all the way on the left. And it's just like, what the heck is going on here? Why do I have to reorient myself to every single screen? So my recommendation is use the record details tab and make sure that not only it should be the default, it should also be the first tab on all record pages. The reason why I feel so strongly about this. So the default means that's the tab that's always open, because in theory you can set up for any tabs that you have on your record pages, you can set up it could be the second tab, the third tab, the fourth tab, the fifth tab. Any tab can be the default that's always open. So make sure that the details tab is the one that's always set up as the default, and it should always be the first tab that's displayed in the sequence on the page layout. Why do I feel so strongly about this? I feel so strongly about it because when we go into Salesforce and we perform a search, let's say you're doing a search for, I don't know, Kim Kardashian, and when you do a search for Kim Kardashian and you see the search results, why are you doing a search for Kim Kardashian? Because first you need to familiarize yourself with the details that we have for that person before you can dive into the opportunities, the cases, the campaigns that are, or the activities that are linked to them. So even if it's only going to be 3 or 4 seconds that you're going to stay on that details tab, the reason why you're looking for a particular record is because you want to look at that record, not because you want to look at the related records. So make the related records, which we're going to get to in a minute, that will be easily accessible. But the first thing that they should be able to see is the details of that record, which they clicked on, which they navigated into. Next, the second tab should always be related. So everything else that is related to that record should appear in the related tab. Now, some of you might be thinking, okay, I get it, but it's sort of annoying because sometimes we have an object where for that object, there are going to be many related objects, many related lists, and the users are going to have to keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. Bear with me. In the end, the users will never, ever have to click on that related tab, but we're giving it to them anyway, just for the peace of mind that if they want to look at all of the related records, they can see all of them right there on the related tab. Next, the compact layout. It should always be on the top. Don't move it anywhere else. It should always be on the top of the screen. Underneath that, if path makes sense to have on any record, excuse me, on any page layout, first of all, you should only use path if path is meant to represent milestones, like stages of progress of working on that record. Yes, technically, path can be configured to work with any pick list field, but it does not make sense to have, let's say, your pick list field is industry. It would not make any sense whatsoever to visually display the industries on the top as a path. Because if a company is, let's say, in the banking industry, they're not going to change to suddenly be in the food and beverage industry. Why on earth is that taking up valuable space on the screen? And let alone you can have many different options in that pick list field. Instead, it makes sense to only use path when you have a pick list field that represents, it doesn't matter what it's called, but so long as it represents milestones of progress, this way they visually see it as sort of like a timeline that whatever selection is chosen for this record today, the items to the left of it were the stages that either are no longer relevant or have already been completed. The stages or the values appearing to the right of it are the values that have not yet been achieved for this particular record. So where appropriate, go ahead and utilize path. So it certainly makes sense, like out of the box. Salesforce has it on opportunities, but sometimes it also makes sense to have it on other records as well, both standard as well as custom objects. Now, before I mentioned about the set component visibility, excuse me, with the set component visibility, you could also consider hiding the path when appropriate. What does that mean? Well, let's say we're talking about, let's say, opportunities, and the opportunity is either closed won or closed lost. How often are we actually going to be moving the stage one more time after the opportunity is closed won or closed lost? Probably not at all. Therefore, the visual space that the path is occupying on the page layout is sort of wasted space, because nobody's going to move it backwards from closed won to proposal submitted. No, that's not happening. So you can use the set component visibility functionality that we have in Salesforce that I showed you earlier in order to apply filters to say, only display the path if the, let's say on the opportunity, if the opportunity is not closed won or closed lost. This way, as soon as it moves to closed won or closed lost, the path visually disappears. Now, by the way, in case you're wondering, but what if in some situations we have to update the status, we mistakenly switched it to closed won and we need to move it back? You still have access to the field on the page layout itself. You simply don't have the visualization of path, but the field is still there on the page layout. The field is still completely editable. So if for whatever reason they actually need to update the record to make the status something else, to make it not closed anymore, the path will automatically reappear. So that's not a problem. Okay, so this is big. Why on earth Salesforce does not have this as a default on every single page layout, I don't understand. Related lists, quick links. To me, this is the major hook to not only help the users who are coming from Classic into Lightning to make them feel that the navigation is consistent, the experience is consistent, but even if the whole organization is brand new to Salesforce, they've never used Salesforce before, they've never been in Classic before, they have no idea what Classic is all about, they don't even know what Classic means. By putting the related list quick links on the page layout and by putting it on the top, taking up the full width of the page layout like you see right here, what this does is it gives the users a quick and easy, simple way to navigate to see all of the related records without ever having to click on that related tab down below. This is why I mentioned earlier that even though I'm telling you to please put that related tab there and put all of the related lists down there, it's just for peace of mind for the end users or for those few users who don't like clicking on the hyperlinks contained in the related list quick links. But this is so incredibly important. And again, you need to do it on every single page layout that you have in your entire org. Super, super important. Okay, next, my recommendation is to have to leverage the page layout. This Salesforce does a relatively good job in most of the time, where we have the wide section on the left-hand side, on the lower left-hand side, and with only 2 tabs in there. And we have the narrow section on the right-hand side with only 2 tabs in there. Why do I say that? At least for in those geographic areas where the users are used to reading from left to right, this makes sense. In those geographic areas, in those countries where they're used to reading in languages that are from right to left, this recommendation is completely reversed. Then you would have the wide section appearing on the right-hand side and the narrow section on the left. Why am I recommending this? Because when we are used to reading, like we're used to reading in English, for example, from left to right, our eye automatically draws us to the left-hand side of the screen, the left-hand margin of the screen to start reading. And again, going back to what I mentioned earlier, when you're looking for a particular record in Salesforce and you go ahead and you click on it, your eye is immediately drawn to the left-hand side of the screen first to see whatever it is that you're going to see there. And if you have the details there, and it's occupying most of the real estate that's available on the screen, that feels far more natural. To have other additional information on the narrow side, on the right-hand side, that's okay too. That's secondary. Your eye is not going to be immediately drawn there if you're used to reading from left to right. Next, display the duplicate notifications when appropriate. So first of all, you're only going to do this if you are using the duplicate functionality that Salesforce has, the out-of-the-box duplicate functionality that Salesforce has. And if that's the case, you typically want to include this on leads, contacts, accounts. So to make sure on those page layouts to have it here. By the way, this is one little pet peeve of mine. I'm hoping that at some point in the future, Salesforce updates it. If I had a magic wand, I would not have this displayed at all. I would basically set it up that this notification would be hidden if there were no duplicates found. Because the way I see it personally, even having the notification that you see on my screen right now, it sort of looks like, because it's like a yellow icon of an indicator, it sort of looks like there's a problem. It looks like something is wrong. And it takes a while for the brain to process it, to actually read the words to say, there are no problems here. To me, that's just a little weird. I would prefer that that entire component should be invisible unless there is a potential duplicate found. But that's me. Hopefully one day someone at Salesforce will listen, but in the meantime, we're sort of stuck with this. Okay, next. I mentioned this before, and I can't repeat this enough times. Use the exact same layout structure on all of our record pages. And the main reason for that is because it will help streamline end user training. It will help increase adoption. It will help your users feel like everything makes sense. It will make them feel like the screen was designed intuitively. Because the first time you show a brand new user any record, it does not matter what kind of record you show them, you're introducing them to Salesforce and you're looking at, it could be an opportunity record, it could be a contact record, it could be an account record, and you're explaining to them what's going on the screen. Once they've understood that, they can then look at any other record whatsoever and things will look familiar to them. It will make sense to them. So it takes a little bit of effort for us, the people configuring the system for the users, but thankfully we just need to do it once before the users log in. And once we do it, it becomes super easy to maintain. So here you can see we're looking at contacts and accounts, and the general page layout is exactly the same regardless of what object we're in. And when we look at the opportunity page layout, again, we have that exact same structure. Compact layout on the top, the path, the related list quick links, the two tabs on the left-hand side, details and then related, the two tabs on the right-hand side where we have activity and then the chatter feed, and it becomes super simple and super intuitive. Very easy to train them on. Okay, next, we're focusing on ease of use. So this is something that a lot of admins sort of forget about. Global actions. If you do absolutely nothing in terms of your configuration, if a user ever clicks on global actions, they will see a ton of options available to them. In my mind, that makes absolutely no sense. It becomes super overwhelming, super confusing for your end users. Instead, my recommendation is to go into the default global layout and to just hide everything except for the following 3 items. Sometimes I'll put it in the 4th, which is email. So I will always put it in the same sequence, by the way. Log a call, new task, new event, and sometimes I'll throw in email. And by the way, I keep the exact same sequence. First log a call, then new task, then new event. By the way, why do I choose that sequence? Because what I've found is that the tasks that people, that end users are accessing the most is their logging calls. After that, they're creating new tasks. After that, a little bit less popular is creating new calendar events. A little bit less popular than that is email. And that's also what I use on all of the record pages in the activity bar. Anyway, go ahead and do this. And then when you train them, by the way, when you train the end users, you make sure to sort of show them how you could be looking at a report. You could be looking at a list view, and you're focused on the data that's displayed on the screen. And out of the blue, your phone rings. And hi, how can I help you? And the person on the other side says, hi, my name is Kim Kardashian, and I'm calling about whatever it is. And okay, you don't need to navigate off of the report you're looking at or the list view that you're looking at in order to refresh your recollection on all of the details about the person or the opportunity they're calling about, because you happen to know everything that there is to know about it. But while you're looking at that report, you can still go right over here and click on the top of the screen and click log a call. You can capture the notes about the phone call that you just had with this person. And then you can go ahead and click new task to remind your future self about whatever follow-up you promised that person, or if you're assigning it to someone else, whatever it is. So you can do all of those things without ever leaving the screen that you were on in the first place. That's incredibly powerful. That makes the entire system super easy for everyone to use. So I highly recommend. It's such an easy out-of-the-box feature that a lot of users know nothing about. And for admins to keep all of the other features like new lead, new note, new contact, new account, new opportunity, to have all of that in there is a huge waste of space, because you can create a new record from any tab itself. Directly on the tab, you click on the little arrow icon and you can create a new record directly from there. And you can do that from any screen also. So it makes no, in my mind, it makes no sense to keep that in the global actions. All right, next up, the utility bar. So one of the reasons why I love the utility bar functionality is because the utility bar not only lets you pop information up on the screen regardless of what screen you're on. So similar to what I was describing before, you could be like on a report or on a list view, and all of a sudden, you realize, oh yeah, I need to look at my open opportunities. I'm having a meeting with my boss soon. So you can click on the footer in Salesforce in order to access that particular list view. And the first thing that it does is it pops it up sort of like a piece of toast. But then once you do that, you have the functionality where you can pop it out, and then it puts it in a separate browser or window, and then you can put it on the left-hand side of your screen, and it now functions as a remote control to control the main portion of your screen. For end users, that's basically giving them a console-like functionality without actually giving them a console. That's really powerful for them. So my recommendation is to utilize the utility bar. The most common use cases for the utility bar are going to be list views showing records that are most important for that user. So things like my open leads, my open opportunities, my open cases, things like that are usually most effective, or even like my open tasks. Things like that are going to be most effective, most universally utilized across all of the users within the organization. Okay, next up, on the homepage itself, leverage list views. Again, the same type of list views that I just mentioned before, where it's filtered for that user to show records that are most important for each user. Excuse me. By putting that list view directly on the homepage, it will make each user feel like the entire system is custom for them, that their homepage is automatically showing them the things that are most important for them. It's so easy for us to do this from a configuration perspective, and it's so impactful for the end users. Next, use the rich text component in order to show any type of, it could be internal alerts or reminders. So things like the third Friday of every month, make sure to submit your expenses. It could be things like sharing commonly used hyperlinks, links to other external systems that might have nothing to do with Salesforce whatsoever, but just providing the hyperlinks to those other resources. And by the way, coupling that with the functionality I showed you earlier of only displaying that particular component to the users for whom it's relevant makes it so powerful for us when we're configuring the system. And it makes the end users feel like the system is highly customized, just showing what they really need. All right, and the last one is showing report chart components. So in the same way, like I described, using list views of my open opportunities, my open cases, my, let's say, my tier 1 accounts, my open leads. In a similar way, to show reports and having report charts that have similar kind of data, but instead of displaying it in the list view, in a report chart, you might be grouping it by industry, grouping it by timeline, grouping it, showing trending over time. My open opportunities, maybe grouping it by the opportunity stage. My open cases grouped by maybe the case type, or maybe based on the group based on the creation date. And this makes it really, really powerful and impactful for the user. So as soon as they log into the system directly on the homepage, there's a tremendous amount of very valuable information to them, for them, instead of just having it as sort of wasted space. So if you want to learn more, actually let me do this. Let me put, I'm going to put that hyperlink. Actually, as soon as anyone has questions, I'm going to put the hyperlink for this. This is a free course that I'm making available to all of you. I'm going to put the hyperlink to it directly in the chat for the Zoom. So basically everything that I talked about during this entire session, I show you exactly how to do it, and I go into a little bit more detail of why it's so important in this course. So I highly recommend that you leverage it and show off your new skills with the people that you're supporting in those organizations that you're supporting. Anyway, thank you again for having me, and I'm open to any questions that any of you might have.
Yes, so we have few questions. David, if you can check out the chat window.
Yes. Where's my old man reading glasses? Hang on one second. Let me look. Let's take a look over here. Chat. So the first question, is this in sequence call, task, or event? Can we do this? The answer is yes, you can absolutely do that. Rachel, thank you for elaborating on where you can find the global actions layout. How do we create a dynamic dashboard using the schema? I'm not sure I understand the question. And also, in my whole presentation, I'm not talking about dynamic dashboards. So personally, I think the functionality around dynamic dashboards is very, very cool, but they're really hard to maintain. And depending on what the organization is looking to do, actually, hang on one second. I'm going to open up another screen and I'm going to show you something totally off topic for the main topic that I was talking about, but directly tied to dynamic dashboards. I'm going to show you something that, so usually the most common use case that I come across for dynamic dashboards is where a manager wants to see information, like let's say a sales manager is getting ready to meet with their direct reports. Let's say they have a sales team. Hang on, I'm trying to log in to a developer org, and I can't click and type and talk at the same time. Give me 1 second over here. Copy login and copy password. Okay, so now let me adjust my screen so I can and yes, that's screen, but let's do it like that. Okay. So the most common use case that I come across where for dynamic dashboards is where a sales leader basically is saying, hey, I meet once a week, once a month, whatever it is. I meet with each of my sales reps. And when I'm meeting with my sales rep, let's say sales rep number one, I'm meeting with them, I want to be able to look at a dashboard that gives me all of the different data associated to that person. I want to see, maybe it's the number of leads that they've created. Maybe it's the number of leads that they've converted. Maybe it's the opportunities. I want to see their pipeline, their open pipeline. I want to see the opportunities that they've closed, let's say month over month for the last 2 years. I want to see maybe all of the activities that they've created in Salesforce. And then after I look at that and the meeting is over and I want to meet with someone else, I want to see basically the exact same data, but for the next person. So the most common way that people solve for that is by creating either a filtered dashboard or a dynamic dashboard. And yes, that works. It's hard to maintain. It's very hard to maintain. I've found a way, I'll call this a hack, to accomplish the same thing in a far more simplistic way. So here you're looking at a demo org that I have of Salesforce, and let's go ahead and simulate that I'm about to have a meeting with my employee, Susan Parker. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to do a search for Susan, and I see the user record for Susan Parker. So when I go ahead and I click on it, I see this screen that shows me I've got tabs going across the top over here. So here, yes, I am completely violating the recommendations that I gave you earlier of only having 2 tabs. This is an exception. This is on the user screen. This is not on any regular record screen whatsoever. So here we could see activity metrics. And in this use case, I only have like 1 report chart that's displayed here. But if I want to see, let's say, the leads that she's been working on, I click over here, and now it's filtering to show me only those records that apply to her where she is listed as the lead owner. If I want to see her opportunity metrics, I can click over here and I can see all of those opportunities where she is the lead owner. If I want to look at the case metrics, I can click over here and I see all of those cases where she is the case owner. Now let's make believe I finished the meeting with Susan, and now I'm going to have a meeting with Nicholas. So I'm searching for Nicholas Grant over here. And when I click on this, I'm now looking at Nicholas's screen, and it might be the same metrics, but they are completely filtered to only show me those metrics for Nicholas. Now, by the way, see, okay, he doesn't have any leads. Hang on 1 second. Let's look at some opportunities. I'm going to sort of state the obvious here once the data comes up. Come on, Salesforce, keep up with me. So if I go over here just for like sort of peace of mind, if I go here and I click where it says view report, I click on this, it's going to bring me to the underlying report for this particular data set so I can see all of the details and have meaningful conversation with this employee. Now, in case you're wondering, like, wait, how do I know for sure what's going on over here from a filtering perspective? Let's take a look at the filter, and you see this? It's automatically filtering based on that user ID. So if I go ahead and I do the exact same thing with, hang on, I'm logged in as, what's my username? Michael Franco. Let's make believe I want to see my own metrics. as Michael Franco, and I look over here, and let's say for opportunities, it's showing completely different data. It's the same underlying query with the exception of the user ID that it's filtered off of. So if I go here and I click at this user ID, this is a totally different user ID than what we were looking at before, even though we were looking at this same metrics. So this is one, like I said before, hack where it's not using a dashboard whatsoever, where basically recreating that dashboard concept directly on the end user screen. And basically what I did over here was I hijacked the native out of the box user splash screen that in my mind is a complete waste. Like nobody, I have not seen anyone make meaningful use of this screen. So instead, just taking out all of that garbage that was here before and simply throwing in these report charts and by organizing it through tabs. Okay, let's see. There's some other questions over here. Let's switch this. No, you're not supposed to. No, that was wrong. Hang on. Let's go back to. Yes, I'm using a green screen in case you didn't realize. All right, let's see some of the other questions over here. Is that possible to do custom objects for creation of? Yes, you can create dashboards with custom objects. Absolutely. No, you can't do this in Classic. What I just showed you here, you can't do that in Classic. That's one of the reasons to move from Lightning over to Classic. All right. I don't see any other questions. Thank you again for having me. I appreciate it. Sushant, do you have anything else that you want to take it back? Wrapping it up? You tell me.
No, yeah, no, David, I think we are good with the questions, and I think this is again one of the great session we have, especially for the admin side, because we usually do lots of sessions of dev side, but this is again one of the great sessions we have, especially for the admins or those who are really interested in the out of the box functionality provided by Salesforce. And that's the last use case you have provided to us. It's awesome, really awesome.
Thank you. Actually, before we drop off, hang on one second. Let me cut and paste that URL for all of you. Give me
Sure.
1 second over here. I'm going to put it in the chat window. There we go. So you should all be able to click on it and sign up for the free course.
Sure. All right, so I think we are good with today's session. And so before winding up, I would like to thank David. Thank you so much for all your time and
My pleasure.
sharing your knowledge with us. It's really a great session. And at the same time, I would like to thank our participant to join and to give their time to us and to have a great session with us. So guys, we also have a few sessions scheduled in our upcoming weeks. So keep check out our website, and really you will get to know. So one of the important sessions we are planning to have is MuleSoft series, which is especially delivered by the MuleSoft architect. So in December, so we are, and along with that, we also running our architect series. So yesterday we have wind up our first session of this architect series, and our next session is on 5th of December. So keep check out our websites, and also stay connected with us on LinkedIn and Twitter for the further updates. With this, I would like to thank everyone here and have a great day. Stay safe, stay healthy, and enjoy your day. Thank you.
All
Thanks,
righty.
David.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.